I got my little cards today. Yay, everybody! Yay, everybody! Such amazing energy. I had, welcome everybody. Welcome across all nations, all realms. I am walking with a beautiful celestial team. I know there's lots going on, the veil is thinning, so I will always greet my teams and my experience with everybody in the multiverse that I walk with. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And thank you, all of our celestial families, celestial teams. We're so very happy that you're with us. Yay! I had a really wonderful channel this morning, so I just wanted to share it. This is going to be more creative story time. Do a lot more creative infusions of whatever I get a download that day. I'll just channel it and put it on. Hopefully to do shorts more often, just because I have to flow my energy. My energy is getting a lot more expansive with a lot of the galactic celestial energies. That is kind of my home. So I'm really, really excited of the energies that I've been feeling and getting more and more comfortable with. My celestials are my aliens and my celestials, always feeding me and nourishing me as the mother and the father do. We're going to talk a little bit more about my illustrations. I added the infinity, as everybody can see. I wanted to talk about, I had a really cool, it wasn't, well, it was cool. Celebrate every part of it, right? Release yesterday, obviously with the moon energies inspiring, the releasing of what was, and then bringing in all the news so we can harmonize with everything that I talk about. But yesterday was a huge release day, so I was really happy that there was a lot of clarity. And then today I woke up and I had just sitting in channel mode, and I had a beautiful download from my higher self and the higher realms that I belong within, all of the dimensions that are above me and all the teams that I come with. And then I just pull that download and I just start writing. So I have a little written channel, but I wanted to present it to you as we take a deep breath and ground our bodies and ground our heart, mind, body, and soul. Call in all of your soul fragments. Call in all of your soul fragments, and then ground, ground, ground. And we wanted to offer the idea, because we want to take ourselves in the expansion, contraction, and the inhale and the exhale, everything that is your self becoming, who are you, what you exist within, what's going on within you, is becoming ever more harmonious in a transparency. So we want to think about and consider that in every moment of creation, the multiverse, inhaling and exhaling, just as infinite aspects of you are inhaling and exhaling, there are aspects of you on all of the realms, if you will, and the outer, right? Because omnipresent is all. And so, hello, beautifuls. Hello, everybody beautiful. Hello, everybody beautiful. And so in the inhale and the exhale, you're constantly becoming this new minutia of you in your awakened state. You're becoming more source creator, you're becoming more of the omnipresent. So we wanted to put in our session today, what is the experience of omnipresent? What is that? That is a version of what source creator is, what God is. The omnipresent is the bedding and the minutia between spaces within all life. Omnipresent, if this was you and source within the middle as a top-down perspective of all of the realms that you belong within, the little threads of the dimensions that you belong within, all of these different threads are operating bandwidth in a different dimension. Remember what dimension is? It's information and vibration. So all of these little aspects of you that in the lower realms, we're just talking lower realms because that's what Ascension is all about. It's 51% of the lower realms. And then when you hit, you have access to all of the higher realms as high as your consciousness can draw from. But until you get to 5D, we have to go through that minutia of 51% of the karma, because we've never been practiced at harmonizing the divine feminine and divine masculine energies. So 3 to 4 and 5D is all of understanding that, releasing everything that you were taught, told, and shown about who you are, what you exist within, and what exists within you, and then realign with who you are as a divine harmonized being. And that harmonized being is divine feminine energies, divine masculine energies, which makes up all of the different energies and stories of all of your timelines that you exist, and it's held within your chakras, it's held within your fields, and all of those various aspects that become you, that are you. And so in the process of ascension, when you're becoming a being of light, you're holding yourself in a centered state of knowing that I'm more than I thought I was, Who am I right now? What am I existing? Can I be more harmonized in my wholeness in the soul of all that I am? So you're wanting to become a greater aspect of the soul, a creative aspect of the soul, because you have aspects of soul, you have aspects of your soul that are in all dimensions, and you carry fragments of creativity, you carry fragments of that you're being as a creative being, which is source, creator, omnipresent. And so that 51% is you harmonizing the woundings, the themes, the ideals that have kept you away from the centeredness of unity consciousness. So what beliefs, oligarchy, discrimination, all of your separation energies. And this is why many that are going through Ascension and go through Ascension that are going to be operating in understanding and exploring who they are as divine feminine, who they are as divine masculine, and then allowing themselves to recenter in a new version of who they are. When we get to 5D, it's going to be more like androgynous, because our energies are all healed. We don't have to feel the discriminations that we've felt in all of our previous timelines, and why, as I've talked about before, some of the underground experience was because of the beliefs and the suppressions, mostly from the divine masculine's perspective, because they make up, again, 98% of our systems. They make up 98% of the energies that have made our church and state systems. And because the church and state have been so very suppressive in exploring who they are in all the various aspects of self, that they've become so suppressed that they had to go into secret and underground to explore their sexuality, to explore their sexual identification, to explore their sexual pleasures, which is really just an aspect of healing other aspects that were left in discrimination and, again, suppressed from the old systems of church and state. If we look in church and state now, just as I look at religion as a whole, so when I speak about this channel, I speak about source, creator, God, creator, of who we are as Metatronic light throughout all systems. So if we take a look at the religion that's on our planet right now, very broad and vast, but all of the religions have a very secluded experience of itself, and they're always seeing itself against itself, never an expansiveness of allness. And if we think of all creation holds all species, it holds all experiences, holds all genders, holds all infinite species, the insecta, octarians, all of these different aspects of being that are. Why would we have the discriminations that we have within just a belief system? If there's so much life within creation, why would we hold so much discrimination? Look at what's been going on our planet, the underground, the satanic, and the dark occults. Those that have been pressing to express those aspects of self that they have repressed and suppressed, and why many of them go into secret, many of them go into the underground, because they're not exploring those aspects of the shadow, healing those aspects of the shadow. And then they get stuck into practicing part of the wounding. If you're not healing that wounding, it becomes an obsession or an addiction. Sometimes that's what people do, reach for addictions and drugs or alcohol, because they're just cycling patterns of not knowing where to go and how to heal those aspects of self. So you can actually harmonize those aspects of self, really look at them and face them and be reflective on them, to know that everything is an exploration of self, and you will go through explorations of your dominant energies, your divine masculine energies, and what that means for the being that you choose to be right now. So that's why we've seen a lot in our collective. A lot of the explorations that are coming forward as far as gender ideologies, gender definitions and experiences and definitions of all that we have been. And it's really changing the boxes and the labels that we placed on each other, which is a part of the foundational experience that is discrimination at its core, and why church and state had created such systems in discrimination, because again, they were created 98% and of the divine masculine's ideologies. So if we look way back in 3D, how much evolution and how much intelligence can a divine masculine at 3D have with it's not harmonized, it's not balanced, and it has no intelligence for who it is as a divine feminine. So all of our systems right now in 3D have been created from 98% of our collective, which we have been, because we're talking about all of our histories. We have been both divine feminine, divine masculine energies, but at a divine masculine 3D, which has no divine feminine integration, and why, again, the underground was created so that it could explore what it thought to be safe, if you will, an underground exploration of its sexual experiences, sexual identity, sexual preferences, and all of those things it has to heal in its normal progression of what an ascension journey is. But because of the church and state being so separative, being built on those old ideologies of divine masculine, they were very oligarchic, they were very discriminatory. And so what Spirit showed me, I think yesterday, yeah, it was yesterday at my channel, they were showing me that a lot of what's happening right now, especially with my discrimination case, what is going to come in the outfolding of it and the result of it is that many of these oligarchy systems will start falling because there has to be that feminine that is replaced within the systems that were very imbalanced. It was all imbalanced. All divine masculine here, divine feminine had no voice at all. And so we have to start looking at laws, and we have to start speaking out about what's going on in the actual communities and the foundations of our social collective. We have to look at it and speak about it. The 3 E's, of course, 3 E's is how we heal our collective. So as each and every one of us are moving about in the 3's, we're challenging what has ever been built in church and state and why it must fall. Because it's not who we are anymore. We're not those old ideologies that were absolutely built in oligarchy and discrimination. Because it was taken from a 3D experience, 3D divine masculine experience. That's not all that we are. We're not just 3D masculines. We are a divine experience of being whole. We're a divine experience of being omnipresent, celestial, alien, crystalline, carbon. We are all aspects of source. So what we wanted to offer today is just a more expansive look of the in and the exhale of all that is creation. If you look at the cosmos and how any planet, any star, there is an inhale and exhale of the quantum science that is source. It is the movement of alchemy. It's the movement of particles. It's the movement of what source creator is. The matter, if you will, dark matter energies, various energies and substances that move in the inhale and the exhale. That is alchemy in and of itself. Source knows what source is doing. So the inhale and the exhale is all that is the move and the creation that is source creator. So creator is always creating. If you're allowing yourself to be purely who you are, if you guys want to go to a dating chat room, you can go to another channel. Okay, this isn't a dating chat room. If you want to go to a dating chat room, go to a dating chat room. The chat line is for Ascension and higher vibrational consciousness comments. Okay? Thank you. Because the chat room is for everybody that wants to discuss higher vibrational things. If you're wanting to do a dating chat line and to find out what your personal things are, you can go to another chat room. This is about consciousness. This is about a collective, unity consciousness. It's kind of why we're here, unity consciousness, to explore who we are in higher consciousness states. So if you want to have a discussion about your marriage preferences and how many children you have, you can go to a dating chat line. Thank you. Respect the spaces. And so in source creator consciousness, there's always that movement of inhale and exhale of every moment being a new co-creation, every moment new co-creation of who we are as source creator. Because we've been taught, told, and shown that we were these very discriminatory, separative aspects of source, the consciousness awakening through light bathes all that we are, and we start peeling out and pulling all of those aspects and density that we can re-examine and we can look at. That's what Ascension is truly all about, looking at those aspects of shadow, looking at those aspects of separation and discrimination, and then reintegrating it into a whole frequency that you are. You're meant to be the commandmentship of you, so that any soul fragment and any darkness and any shadow, you can actually face it and then reintegrate it as an aspect of you. So there's never any need to repress. There's never any need to suppress. There's never any need to be less than just because you wanted to reflect upon those darker energies, or there's uncertain energies, or what is ever in the collective church and state as its measure points. Those are not the measure points of who we truly are as divine beings, because again, most of our systems were set up in very low vibrational 3D divine masculine energies. They didn't consider that we were celestial. They didn't consider that we were omnipresent. They didn't consider that we were of the universe, that we were of other planets, that we have a soul integration and we're harmonizing ourselves anew. They didn't take into consideration any of the divine feminine actives. So it was a very, again, discriminatory experience. So now those church and states have to come forward and be remade. But it's not going to be church and state. It's experience of who we each are as divine beings of source light. And that source light is always, 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 doesn't matter what planet, doesn't matter what body, doesn't matter what form that you take, that omnipresence bedding is always the nourishment of creative evolution life. So omnipresence is the creative evolutionary life bedding for all aspects of growth. The aspects of growth are the inhale and the exhale, the inhale and the exhale. That is always that movement of moving particles and energies and quantum based on the inner vibrational alignment. Why you're healing if you choose to ascend. If you don't choose to ascend and ascension is not an interest to you, this is what the channel is about. So ascension and self-actualization is the honoring of yourself becoming more and more quantumly source creator, more quantumly the aspects of all your soul, because you're honoring yourself in whatever darknesses or densities or separations or discrimination you have for the divine feminine perspective, for the divine experience that you are a divine masculine, and then harmonizing them as one. When you are reaching a more balanced state of center and you are reaching a more grounded state of center, then what is outside of you is that reflection of what you need to in the acceptance and the allowance of becoming more great and more oneness. Hello, Scotty. Thank you for joining us, Scotty. The chat room has been kind of crazy, so if you could just put them on timeout or release them from the field. If you to change the settings of the chat, because I am a channeler, I do speakly. So if you wanted it slowed down, then you can do that on your settings. I'll speak as I wish. And if you want to make a comment about that in a negative way, then you can just settings. Lots of dating comments going on in the chat room, Scotty. Thank you. So one of the downloads that I got this morning was that Source Creator, now that we're moving into these new beddings of omnipresent, we talked about many times the substrates are the omnipresent. So the substrates are now changing, altering every day, because as we've been saying, every day we're becoming more, we are integrating more light. That's why we do have the big releases, as I talked about. Yes, I had a huge release, so that's making up for a lot more light that I'm able to take in. So when you are taking in more light, your body is going to ask that you behave in different ways. So that means that you drink more water, you have more downtime, you have more quiet time. You're going to find yourself preparing and preferring more silent time and more, time with yourself to remember what you are as omnipresent, to remember that the omnipresent is your eternal partner. It is the alchemic juice elixir. It is the solution, if you will, of how you manifest as a physical being. And that solution is anything that it is of source essence in equal measure. So we've talked about God before, and a lot of the old 3D oligarchy, 3D church and state is that God was something outside of us. God was found in religions, God was found in churches, God was found in things that were outside of us, which is the exact smaller mind consciousness of who we are. But it's not the totality of all that we are. We are infinite particles of Source Creator, returning itself back to self. Why the healing is so important. The healing allows us to integrate those soul fragments where we discriminated ourselves out. So we are Source, integrating our soul fragments as Source, just as the greater Source, the macro, is integrating itself as Source. Omnipresent is thing. God and Source, Mother, Father, God are not up somewhere above us. They are the omnipresent. So we want to bring the conversation and the pondering. I want you to wonder and ponder with great excitement and joy and creativity. Mother and Father is the omnipresent, and the omnipresent is everything that is the contraction and expansion, because everything is alchemy. In every moment, Source, Creator, Mother, Father, the plan of the Father and the nourishment of the Mother, there's always the inhale and exhale, there's always the contraction and expansion. That is the alchemic movement of what is needed as you're pulsing out and being who you are. It's so important because it always reminds you of who you are at your core. Why we always ask you, who are you? What's going on within you? The more that you're doing that daily ascension path work, you're returning to more of a unique, genuine, raw vibration that is authentic to you. That authentic vibration sends out the pulsations of your authentic centering to not only call in those aspects of you that are not in alignment of who you truly are at a soul level, because that omnipresent is telling you, God is always showing you, this is your more pure, authentic version. Stand in your power, stand in your truth, speak your truth on all of your chakras. This is why when you're going through an ascension cycle, every new cycle, you're going to have things present itself that triggers those darker aspects that need to be called in where you were not in alignment of self, where you did not speak the alignment of your divine feminine or your divine masculine energies within, or you did not stand and speak the power of who you are in whatever circumstances. Most often that will have to do with discrimination and separation, because that's the story here on earth. So each of us have come with various themes and lessons in our shadow, if you will, that 51%. It's held in divine feminine and masculine energies within each of our chakras. And every new ascension spiral, we're given these shadow opportunities that are pulled forward so that we face it and we look at it. We can then integrate it into the harmonized divine feminine masculine energies and say, okay, well, I can speak up for myself now in this regard. This is why I've been doing so much exploration, and Spirit shows me kind of always after the fact, part of my reflection work too. Part of what I've been so excited to share is because the Divine Feminine's voice have been much needed. Divine Feminine's voice has been quite left out because it is, again, as we said, all of our 3D systems have been made up of 3D lower vibrational Divine Masculine perspectives, view, and beliefs. So this is why church and state must fall, because it was never balanced to begin with. We're now in a higher consciousness now. So the voice of your root chakra, the voice of your solar plexus, the voice of your heart chakra, the voice of all of your chakras as we're continuing in our ascension is going to be tested and pulled out so that we can create these new systems of expression. Because what is Source Creator? It is a new expression of inhale and exhale. The exhale is the expression of everything that's moving you've learned, right? You don't have to I do, just because it's me. I like to be the loving commander of, okay, what are we working on today? I have those. But I'm learning to relax a lot more and just allow Source, which will be in my writing today, which is really exciting for me. Just learning to relax a bit more and trust that a lot of the shadow work has been done. So I can let go and just relax a lot and just know whatever's coming forward. I don't have to be in that fight or flight tension, protecting myself and all that, because I'm learning just to relax and trust whatever source, the omnipresent, the substrates are referring back to me. It's a higher substrate because I'm a higher substrate. So I am relaxing a little bit more. And why we've been talking about everything we've been talking about, to get you used to understanding the omnipresent Mother, Father, God, Source Creator is the omnipresent. The omnipresent, because you're returning to self. We want to get this very clear. This is how important unity consciousness that very few people talk about. Very few people get to sit and have time to reflect. Every change that you make changes the all. The substrates change, omnipresent change. As you heal one aspect of you, the entire substrates of everything changes, which then offers a new light perspective to the creative collective. It offers a new light to Gaia. It offers a new to the Sacred Trinity. In every new cycle, there's a new omnipresent sub, because you have been releasing, accepting, and allowing, forgiving what needs to be brought forward in that reflection time that's facing you. The expression is so because now we get to see and create all of these 3D systems that were only from one low vibrational 3D perspective of all 3D church and ideologies, all 3D expressions of ideologies of church, all of the things that we thought church, and all the different variations of religion. Religion and spirituality are not the same thing. God and religion are not the same thing. Religion were just various beliefs that we chose to explore the idea of God. What is God? What is Source Creator? What is their life beyond what we see and what we know? The Source Creator of omnipresence is a vibrational experience. You can feel omnipresence. You can feel the vibration of Source. And we give you certain tips and tools when you're doing your breath work. Because your breath work activates who you are as Christ consciousness. Your breath work activates the essence of Source. Source is the omnipresence that's in the substrates. It's in the field. The field in and of itself is vibrating at a higher harmonic. Every new ascension cycle, you have a new harmonic. That harmonic is now saying, pushing those energies out to all of our constructs and our structures, if you will, and it has to come down because the substrates are a much higher vibrational light. It's a higher omnipresent. Source Creator is omnipresent. It's the enmeshment of inhale and exhale. Every day that a person calls in a fragment of itself, Source Creator becomes more whole. Therefore, the omnipresent light becomes more whole. Does that make sense? Source, the inhale and exhale. Source is the soup. Source is the juice. Source is the elixir. Source will meet you equal measure. So if you go through a big release, that very next you're going to be in a higher substrate because you allowed those densities to be transmuted through love and forgiveness and acceptance, the 3 A's. Therefore, all creation has changed. All of your aspects of Source, because your aspects of the third dimensional Earth, 5th Pleiades, 10th dimensional Pleiades, all of those aspects have also got a fragment of that light that you allowed in your release yesterday. And it's a constant alchemy overnight. It's a constant alchemy of working on the densities. You're being bathed at night. You're going into light chambers on the light. Whatever it is you're doing at nighttime, everybody's different because there is a different temperament and pacing. But it is a 24/7 alchemy with God, with Source Creator. The alchemy with God is that inhale and exhale. It's the inhale and the exhale of alchemy. It's constant alchemy. So this was the download I got today. Omnipresent, Source Creator, Mother, Father, God, it's all the same thing. It's offering you equal light that you go within and love and remind yourself in every moment of the letting go of the constructs, church and state, so that you can return to a more whole and more authentic version of you. As you return to an authentic version of you and trust yourself in your authentic expression, that's really important. Your authentic expression is that unique, genuine expression to creative all, which therefore again ripples back to you, that mirror reflection. It's always the micro and the macro. It's always the inner and the outer. Whatever you're pulling out as a vibration, it's going to come back to you. Why all of our light has been challenging the constructs of church and state, and it doesn't anymore. The constructs don't fit anymore. And why Spirit was giving me a lot of the down the past couple of years is we're going to be looking at a lot of our ideologies and our belief systems on what we knew to be the Father, because those are the constructs that Earth system created on, was the Father energy, the divine masculine. Where did we give our power to? Why? How was church and state created on the Father's image and energy, and why? Why was divine feminine and the mother energy not even included in any of Earth's system at all, on any level? And why there's been so much targeting and triggering by all of the systems that are so steeped in oligarchy, that are so steeped in misogyny. And not for any reason that it's not intelligent. The systems in and of itself, as every divine masculine on our planet, as every divine feminine in her divine masculine energies, every human has the potential to be high consciousness. But our systems have been around for 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 years. So these systems are very old vibrational consciousness. We're going to be rewriting the laws that are in alignment with universal laws so that we can be free to be universal beings. And it is the inclusion of the harmonization of all that we are, divine feminine, divine masculine, and fluidity. And why shouldn't it be? Why can't it be? We're all divine feminine masculine energies, but we've left one half of ourselves completely out, which of course in the church and state reflections and in the church and state expressions, it's all been divine masculine expressions. It's been divine masculine law. It's been divine masculine rules and state. And that's not it anymore because it's broken. It needs to be healed. Divine masculine needs to be healed because it's imbalanced. It didn't restore itself in its divine feminine energies. It doesn't know who it is in divine feminine energies. And when a divine feminine does come forward that is balanced and wise and true, then it gets triggered. It gets triggered because it's seen a reflection it doesn't know. Because it's been 4,000 years of unhealing itself. The systems on the reflection of our collective, because remember, our collective is always reflecting to us because it is us in our manifestation. Our collective is our manifestation. Remember, anything that happens in the collective is our manifestation. So we then have to, in every moment, understand that, wow, our omnipresent is becoming more and more rich with who we are. Looking at ourselves as whole, as unified, as collective conscious beings. We are now consciously creating, we're now consciously knowing we're source, we're now consciously creating, knowing that we're celestials, alien, we're all things. We're becoming more and more unified in the perspective of everything is whole, thing is one. That offers a higher vibrational omnipresent substrate. Therefore, thus then, all of the older, denser experiences and denser substrates won't hold. They're being pulled out, as we see very quickly. And why that will also challenge those that have been in the dark occult practices because they've been brought up in a very limited, very dominating, controlled energies, and nothing can go in controlled energies. They can't grow and expand in the inhale and the exhale. The light is inhaling and exhaling at all times, but if they're in very forks where there's not a lot of wiggle room, they're going to find themselves in a lot of mental imbalance, emotional imbalance, and obviously spiritual imbalance because they're not breathing in the knowing that they are source, omnipresence, creator, and they can really release a lot of those dominating beliefs that are holding them in limitation, or giving their power away to a deity, or sacrificing, if you will, whatever the practices are. They're giving their power away to receive something, and that's not how creation works at all. Creation works within all omnipresent. Whatever you're putting out is coming back, whatever you're putting out is coming back, and whatever is facing you is needing to be integrated, and then you get to redefine it. You get to redefine it at a higher substrate. So have your pillars now. Remember, we've been talking about the sacred pillars of our 5D reality. The pillars now are a higher omnipresent substrate. Omnipresent is always breathing with you. Mother, Father, God are always breathing with you. And if you have a higher vibration center point, I am a balanced, divine, feminine, masculine energy. I am creative, I am infinite, and I'm genuine with my expression. You're not going to put on those veils, put on those products. You're not going to put on those cloaks that you were pretending to be something else or someone else because you weren't giving yourself an opportunity to heal what needed to be healed and faced. Again, this is why we said why a lot of the underground, variations of underground experiences were created was because there was such 5,000 years of suppression and depression of not looking at what needed to be faced. It thought that it had to explain things in the degradation of itself because that's what it was doing to itself. The collective had degraded itself so much that it manifested an underground manifestation. It wasn't dealing with its sexuality. It wasn't dealing with the balancing of the divine feminine masculine of itself. So these are very, very powerful times because what we're doing is, if you get it to a liturgies of light, if you will, all of humanity is now creating new aspects of sacred text, and I've called mine liturgies of light, and Spirit will call upon those of different levels of consciousness to write new versions of what we know as Bible, if you will, but they will be offered in the omnipresent harmonization of divine feminine masculine energies. And these liturgies of light are offerings that we are all one, we are all unified, and in each person allowing themselves the understanding of harmonizing whatever is coming up, 51% of whatever root, sacral, all of these energies that you have all the way up your systems that are the encompassment of all your lives on all timelines between 3 and 5D. So the densities that you suppressed, the densities that you repressed, the densities that, again, in church state that had held you down, that you took on, that you chose to take on for your lineage, you chose to take on for your collect, you chose to take on for the family that you have, so that you can look at it, face it, break open, and then become new in a balanced state of divine feminine masculine. The divine feminine energy is the mother's milk. It is the nourishment of those wounds. So this is where, in this new experience of birth, if you will, these windows and these portals that are alive right now, it is the understanding that these new liturgies of light and every human's offering is a new balanced state of being coming, and the omnipresent Mother, Father, Source are constantly breathing with us. It is always a constant equal measure. And this equal measure, if you breathe in the Mother, thank you, Mother. Thank you, Mother, for your nourishment. Thank you, Mother, for forgiving me. Thank you, Mother, for bathing me in love when there's nobody here to love me. And I can show myself that all I need is my own love, right? Because you are, again, you are the Mother and you are the Father. So again, that's why healing and understanding that you can heal yourself, that you're here to soothe yourself. You're here to self-soothe, which we talked about a little bit in the last of our last video. That's a mouthful. Self-soothing your ways as a being is going to be, again, more artistic, more creative, returning to that sacred child. Returning to that sacred child, because that sacred child is really truly who you are as the most authentic and genuine creator. Before all the veils of discrimination and separation and beliefs and oligarchy and systems of church and state were impaled on you and projected at you and created expectations of you and created false measurements of perfection and all of these things that each and every person is going through to transmute and say, that doesn't work for me anymore, I'm going over here. Because you want to be knowing that the eternal journey with Source is, there's always perfection. Every moment is a perfection. Whether you're perfecting your idea that, yes, I can accept myself as a shadow. You can't have the light without the shadow. I can accept myself as divine feminine energies, divine masculine energies, and how about I just become a more harmonized aspect of me, because you are. So we're really getting into this beautiful song that is, every breath is Mother, Father. Mother, Father in all spaces. Mother, Father in all places. Mother, Father are the aspects of the fluid God, is never ever separate from us. The omnipresent is in all spaces and all places. The omnipresent is within you. The various aspects that make up your matter form in your body, that is Source Creator. Source Creator is, okay, so take a deep breath and let your mind bend a little. We want you to think about this from your heart space, because this is a Christ consciousness download, and Christ consciousness is not in the logical mind. Christ consciousness is the expansion of your heart space as Christ consciousness, the infinite aspects of Metatronic light. Source Creator, omnipresent. There is always the mind of God in the omnipresent, meaning that the divine plan of the Mother and the Father. The omnipresent is always in fluid breath. The omnipresent is in always all dimensions, all threads, and all bandwidths. And what is a dimension again? Vibration and information. That means Source has to be in all aspects of dimensions, aspects of bandwidths. There is new bandwidths opening every day because, as I said, we are integrating ourselves as whole. It pushes in the light to the higher vibrational dimensions and out. And again, there's new timelines being created all the time. In your logical mind, one would think, well, you have to, when I say, what about the 6th dimensional Syrians? And then we talk about God. It's the same. There's God is in the 6th dimensional, God is in the 5th dimensional, and all bandwidths in between. Source Creator is the breath of all dimensions and all bandwidth and little spaces in between the spaces. God is that constant hum that makes new spaces, that makes new songs, that makes new that makes new plans, that makes new ideas, that makes new inspiration. You have been very coveted with a lot of old vibrational coverings and weighings and beliefs and projections and experiences of trauma, like where there's a lot of traumas in religion because our religions have changed 5,000 years, but they've always been very discriminatory and separative. Back in the beginning of time, there was about God being the omnipresent breath of all that is life. It is not the movement of breath. It's not the movement of ideas. It's not the movement of you sitting in your chair. It's the movement between the blood moving in and out of your veins and your tissues. But Source truly is. The omnipresence is within all things. That's how you can, in an alchemic experience, the all-knowing mind in the substrates of all that is God consciousness. If there is a wounding within you that you wanted to heal, without big pharma or without operations, you can, in that knowing of higher omnipresence becoming, that is the alchemy. Everything in creation is an alchemy. There has to be an alchemy in all aspects of creation. If it's a star being made, there is always an alchemy. There's always the movement, the inhale and the exhale. There's always that quantumness of God. The excitement of Source Creator is like, okay, what can we create now? The excitement of returning to the sacred child. That's God. That is Source Creator's most genuine, authentic experience, is the excitement of creation and evolution. And what is the omnipresent? It's equal to who we are. It's always going to provide us equal measure. We just need to continue the reminding and the realignment of ourselves to the most authentic excitement to create and excitement to express who we are. 3 E's, 4th E, 5th E. That omnipresence is always moving with you in that breath. It's never, ever away from us. Source is with you everywhere you go, how you go, where you go. It's in between all the spaces that you go. So we're expanding our ideals and our creating of these new templates. We get to create the new liturgies of light that we can be more fluid with Source. We can be more creative with Source. We can be inhale and exhale with Source, and know that just in the intention of healing a trauma, it can be done because now the alchemy of Source is within all things. It's not separate from us. I don't have to sit in meditation and intend to open up Source and say, okay, Source, let's talk about healing. I want you to soften within what I'm saying. Omnipresence is all moments. Can you rewire your understanding? Can you rewire your coding? Can you rewire your cells? Can you rewire our body, mind, heart, spirit, and soul? So that in the omnipresence breath of inhale and exhale, we can create new canvases, we can create new cells, create new experiences of who we are. It's far more profound. Omnipresence and our space and our walking around becomes so much more magical because we are the canvas, we are the paint on the canvas, and Source is offering us the paintbrush. Because remember, Source Creator is the equal expression of excitement for you to create. That is the core vibration of all of Source. There's new dimensions made because Source is so excited to create with you the omnipresent breath. Wow, let's create something new today, Source. Everybody within this co-creative experience in these online videos, we've all gathered at a higher source knowing, saying, okay, we're going to create something new today. We're going to see God in new ways. We're going to see ourselves in new ways. We're going to see what exists within us in new ways. The omnipresence is the constant inhale, exhale, co-creation of Source in all moments, in all seconds. It's all Source Creator. God is never, ever outside of us. And only that is the damaging, the violence, and all that we've seen. Every aspect of it is healable because that has been the projections and the pulsations of what has been within human. Because it's been so imbalanced. Again, going back to regurgitating back to our idealisms of Adam and Eve project, which is what I've been the only one talking about it on my channel. I've created, I think, about 10 videos on Adam, which is the Palladians gave me a download a couple of years ago. And why they were preparing us for the upheaval of our 3D system, because they've been so very stenched and imbalanced of old vibrational low consciousness beliefs. 5D experiences are knowing that the omnipresence is with us in every second, changing every moment, changing every experience, and we're always moving in new minutia of the elixir of Source, the elixir of Source, the elixir of Source. The elixir of Source is your healing. The elixir is the breath of new creations. The elixir of Source is alchemy. And the alchemy is, those of you that have been on Ascension for a while, if you know how to create a reality and you are a conscious creator, intending, what are you directing, what are you focusing on? And so that means you can have more of a creative experience, manifestation experience, because you don't have to sit down, because the mind has been entrained to see and know God as out there, up there in things, at the churches, at here and there. It's not. The churches were a low vibrational, the religions were low vibrational ways and doctrines that we went to go and learn about different things of a subject or topic that was God, and it was channeled through vibrational men that were usually 3D. Some channels were women, but usually we don't hear a lot about divine feminine that had channeled liturgies of light. So this is where it's all changing. Liturgies of light that will be brought forward as new Bibles, if you will. We're not going to call them Bibles. We'll just call them whatever people want to call them, because everybody's different. Mine will be called light. Because they are the expression of Source Creator, the omnipresent, in whatever dimension and thread I choose to channel in. And then I get to express it, because the omnipresent is showing me there's energies in the omnipresent, and then I channel and express it. It is the equal inhale and the exhale. There I'm keeping up with my creative flow and my creative source light, and everything within me stays aligned because I'm expressing the highest joy of who I am. Now, in that constant reflect, higher joy, higher joy, higher joy, that affects all of our systems that are church and state that are old and crumbling, because the energies cannot keep up with the light that is way up here. It's a more refined, pure light. The substrates are keep bathing every day in a higher substrate. These systems, and this is why we're seeing so much of the corruptive systems that were underground or not seen, if you will, but all the darkness is showing itself just because the light is just always there. That's source. Because we're becoming more source. Again, it's your reflection. It is your reflection saying, okay, well, we can make this source creator because we're source. The omnipresent is source. Everything in between, everything is source. We don't have to look and search outside of us or sit down in meditation and source. Source is. It is. As we said many years ago, and we do have a few, I think, KCOR channels of isness. That is isness. Isness is the omnipresent. We don't have to go anywhere and feel ourselves as separate. We're not separate. Higher in integration that you are of harmony, those soul fragments of divine feminine masculine ideologies or beliefs that were separate from you. It's not separate from you. It's never separate from you. So we have to wrap our mind and release the lower vibrational entrainments, because everything in our society was saying, go outer for your answers. Go outer to church for God. Go to here for this and for that then. Well, Source never said you can only seek me through religion. Being a spiritual person and being a religious man are two totally different things, and we all know that. There are those of us that are very, very spiritual, and we've had timelines of being in any religions. I've had many different timelines of many different religions. We have to be masters. We have to experience ourselves in the various beliefs and ideologies. But Source Creator is omnipresent. Source Creator is between 3rd dimension, 4th dimension, 12th dimension, 10th dimension, 9th dimension, and in every dimension, it's infinitely expansive. Source omnipresence is in the infinite bandwidth that is in the 9th dimension. 9th dimension is a very high dimension. And there's infinite threads of bandwidth. There's infinite songs of that bandwidth. That is omnipresence constantly breathing. And as I show in my illustration, all of these aspects in whatever dimension that we're talking about, it doesn't matter because it is, every inhale and exhale, there's all of the substrates now becoming more and more purified and rarefied, because the omnipresent is now coming more into focus. The omnipresence is the veil releasing of itself. Most of the surprise, and it's different for everybody, but I'm going to give you one exciting fact. Most of the surprise when the veils are removed, everything is Source Creator omnipresence. It was only our lower vibrational entrainment, because that's how we packaged it in our mind, how we could define ourselves, who are we within whatever this reality of physicality is. So we were defining it with a lot of logical experiences. We made logical God as a human man sitting up in the heavens separate from us. Source Creator is the omnipresence because we have a higher consciousness. Source Creator is all that is in between breath. It is the alchemy of all breath. It is the elixir. It is the canvas. It is the paint of the canvas. It is the paintbrush. You're given many tools of the Christ consciousness and all it is within. That's why it said, in the knowing of thyself, all is within of its creation. That is needed is thyself. You're given the mother source so that you can nourish anything that is of showing it to you in a ever darker shadow expression, because you have to love that whole to be a more harmonized aspect of the omnipresence that's showing you. There's a higher omnipresence that's offering it to you. Can you face whatever the aspect of density is? It's facing you as a shadow because there is love in the omnipresence that's showing it. But it's unseen. It's the quantum God. It's the science of God, science of source, science of the omnipresence, the substrates. The substrates are more pure, rarefied as source, so that light is more pure, and it's showing you whatever is that dense particle that needs to be pulled up and faced by you. It will be facing you in your reality, so that you can choose in your daily ascension to say, I'm going to place that in a definition or a discrimination or a separation. I'm not going to test that. I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to do this, this, and this to it. I'm going to allow it to be all that is, and my substrates get higher and more refined. Remember the 3 A's. The presence is always the juice of alchemy. It's always there. As we move high into our consciousness, as we move higher into a vibration, the veils are facing itself, and we will become more surprised in that source has never ever been outside of us or away from us. It's in our every breath. It was our beliefs of separation, and as we integrate, we become more whole. That's why when you become more whole, you become higher in consciousness and light intelligent. Because it's just, it's more of, as we said, everything about source is common sense. How would we be able to create new realms and new planets if our present substrates were not there in its quantum reflection? It must be. It must be. There's always an elixir in a quantum equation, always. There's always an equation. Who are you as the particle? Who are you as the particle? And pulsating out so that the omnipresence can bring it back as that equal reflection. Does that make sense? The alchemy is always showing you equal to what you are, and then whatever it can be. There's always infinite promise and potential in the omnipresent. That's source. Source is within every breath. It never leaves you. Source is within all spaces and places. It never leaves. Source, always source. It is the living breath. So if there is something going on within you that needs that harmonization of source essence is never without to go anywhere outside. I don't have to give power to religions, because source is the magic of all creation. Now we get to truly begin to be the masterful creators that we are. And what will be so surprising to so many is that everything that we have created was due to outer focuses of limitation and separation, because again, they were held in really dissemination of itself. We can also do healing in that respect of anything that's coming up from the underground that absolutely needs to be healed, because there's a lot of wounding there. We can see that in and of itself and honor that omnipresence as part of the healing elixir. There's some books written, I think one of the books that I read many, many years ago, Scotty, you might remember this. If you remember the books by Ramtha, she always had books that came out, they were white. They were all white books called Ramtha. The Ramtha was a channeler. And one of her books that she wrote was The Elixir of Life. And that was in her consciousness of that channeling at that time. And these are way back, I think in the 90s, late 2000s, probably late 90s. In her channelings, The Elixir of Life, and it's been written in some self-actualization communities, but we want more fluid. We want to get more fluid in the understanding source is never ever outside of us or never ever away from us. Source is not something we have to look to or turn on. Source is not something that we have to go to within a church to seek its guidance and refuge. Source is. It is the isness. It is the elixir. It is the juice. It is everything. It will meet you equal measure and then some, because source is what? The omnipresence is what? It is the infinite mind of God. So even though if you just put out that beautiful, genuine, authentic, sacred child experience of being excited to be you, of being excited to be genuine, to speak your truth in every moment that you can, there will be that higher mind of God. The all mind of God will present itself in the omnipresent beyond what you can imagine. So we have to understand that too about the omnipresent. The omnipresent is source creator. It has the all-intelligent mind, the all-intelligent seeing mind, if you will. Part of our multidimensional kit is the third eye and our connection with our higher self. When you work with your alignment in connection of alignment, relationship and connection with you and your relationship of all that you are, you're sending out those sacred excitements and those sacred pulsations of new energy. Everything is energy. So in that quantum experience of your excitement, your quantum experience of your expression, there will always be that even more potential, the hope and the promise beyond our expectations. That's source. The omnipresent is everything. You cannot not name the omnipresent because it's God, it's source. Source is within our breath, it's within our body, it's within our cells. When you're doing your nighttime healing, begin calling in a higher intelligence of how omnipresent is just is. We don't even have to direct omnipresent, right? Omnipresent is the isness. It's the space between space. It's the things that make up matter and the things that make up not matter and even dark matter. Source is the elegant design. There's just isness there. Even in the void, there's isness. It's still source. That's mind-bending, and it can be an infinite creation in and to itself. It's been asked many times in quantum physics, is there an infinite within the dark matter or black hole or infinite space? Is there something we don't know because we can only, our minds at a 3D logical space can only see its way around what a cube looks like, if you will. Well, creation is infinite, source is infinite, the omnipresence is infinite. If there is a pulsation of potentiality, it has to meet equal measure because that's source. That's a promise of source. So if you think, and we just like bend our minds a little, if we go up to the 11th dimension, what does that look like, right? There's infinite bandwidths of that 11th dimension. Within that 11th dimension, there's constructs and substrates, there's lots of stuff going on. There's the particles of quantum energy moving around. Because at the 11th dimension, there is no matter form. It is just all the song of, it's like a fluid liquid source. It's like a fluid song of light and color, harmonics. Those harmonics add to the creation of all the dimensions that it cascades down to and out and up. It is still part of the inhale and the exhale. There's always cascading down so that we can reach up into higher aspects of the God mind. In 5D, we will be completely harmonized with our higher self. And they've given me, how it's been shown to me before, the physical body that we exist within and the Merkaba, the essence of our multidimensional fields and who we are as light, Mother, Father, God is light, the omnipresence is light, everything that we exist within, there are the higher aspects of higher vibrational dimensions and liquid light sound, liquid omnipresence. They come in place of crystalline sheath in your fields. It comes over and placed on top of you. This team, if they went through an ascension, they will place certain codes. It's like a sheath. It's a crystalline sheath that is placed over you, and it slowly integrates in your multidimensional experience. Because multidimensional experience is your physical heart, mind, body, and soul, that is enmeshed in your body. It's enmeshed in all that you are. That is when, again, you have to have brain and the functions and the functionality of your brain and how it processes information. We keep talking about capacity and aptitude because you're becoming more source creator. Source creator is the end. So how can we explain things that are not logical? Well, because source is source, it is the omnipresent, it is the idea. So therefore, if source has the idea and the excitement, that is really how miracles are created. Because we thought in our old lower vibrational entrainment that miracles were some outer body bringing us to this miracle. Well, yes and no. There's always source interacting. Always spirit is interacting with you. Always your harmony. Because I have such a high gradation of energies and my celestials are always with me, I have more miracles that happen in those experiences because I choose in my omnipresence to see all of my celestials and my witness to celestials. Therefore, it's just always there for me. My consciousness is higher in that way. It's uniquely designed for me. Everybody's conscious of their omnipresence, but the omnipresent potential and promise is always there for everybody. Even the people that created the 3D oligarchic misogynistic systems have equal opportunity to be as high vibrational in their consciousness because it's always promised. But it's up to each person to get in the elevator and push the button so that they can meet it equal. And that is what's called been doing the work. You have to go in and heal. Exactly, Scotty. Yeah, you have to heal those. You have to be okay with those 51% of shadows. Face and you say, I get that. Thank you for that. And you integrate it, right? You go into that lesson. What did that show me? Well, I was holding on to a little bit of fear. I was holding on to an attachment. I was holding on to something I need anymore. You know, somebody told me that that's what a divine feminine is, but maybe it's not. You know, what if I'm, divine feminine? And this is where you really go within for your own ideals because source wants you to awaken to your aspect of source. That's why I said again, everything is going back to itself. It's always the infinity. We're going to have to rewrite these structures because everything that we were looking to show us who we were as divine feminine, divine masculine, it's all changing. The ideals of beauty is changing. The ideals of, I put a beautiful post in, I think it was last night, in my community page, and it was this girl that publicist, but also a promotions manager, and she does a lot of different things, and she writes on things that she's intrigued by and interested in and questioning. She's questioning the ideologies of the collective energy. And her being a promotion person and her being in marketing, she was looking at various aspects of who we thought were stars and what we gave energy to, whether it be a politician, a movie star, singer, and these are similar to the things that I speak. I speak it on a spiritual consciousness, and she was speaking a publicist, promotionals, marketing consciousness. But at the core of her questioning, core of her pondering, there were some things that were getting her excited to challenge and to say, well, these are my experiences and these are my understandings. I'm going to challenge thought as how they present somebody as a star and their management company, that when they do something that is in the shadow, if you will. Many of them have had the sexual misconducts and sex rapes and all of those things that are the shadow because they're not healed, because they abuse the universal rights of another, right? That's what those shadows are. You're abusing universal laws, you're abusing universal energy, you're abusing other people in that energy because there's a wounding there. So then there's companies that come off with a promotional kit to say, well, okay, if we want to put out this fire, this is what we do. These people then are attached to algorithms of people that are working at that moment as a positive construct in the collective, and their promotional company and their management company then says, okay, well, go to these events where these people that are being held high in the collective energy, the algorithm there's lots of algorithms there, so that if they search these people up in the algorithm of the collective on the internet and on Google and all the things that are out there, the algorithm will say, well, they saw these people that were creating these shadow energies, but they're out there looking like a family, they're looking balanced, they're looking spiritually aligned, and all these things that make us have more relatability to them. All of that's changing. Because now we're aligning ourselves with a higher level of consciousness and saying, well, we can see when things are not authentic or genuine, that promotional companies and management companies, a lot of them, not all of them, there are those promotional management companies that have been involved in cult and lower vibrational activities to contain and have in control energies of stardom. All of that's changing. There's a big illusion out there of what has been entertainment. And the movie star industry, again, it was always linked with woundings and what we manifested in the suppressions and depressions of who we were. So in the new remake of a higher consciousness experience, it will be purely on the algorithms of authenticity, the algorithms of more raw and genuine beauty, more algorithms of speaking truth of the 3 E's, because that is the new substrates, that's the new omnipresent. So you will see very quickly the promotional companies, if you will, that want to put out a fire. They did it before on what the algorithms are of somebody that was popular at the moment. And in her video, she was talking about Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, and part of the putting out of the fires of their experiences in their shadows and what they were speaking about, because they didn't want the collective to see them in different light. What promotional companies will do and management companies will do is to understand that there is shadows in all things, and how can we speak and talk and know and behave in a vibrational way so that we're not acting out of disingenuousness, we're not acting out of hiding and veiling and suppressing and depressing, but we actually be more transparent, collectively open, to know that when you're transparent and when you're open, it doesn't matter what the old ideals were of how can someone appear relatable, or how can someone appear balanced and on their own, if you will. So if we take a person like Britney Spears, who was under so much scrutiny and pressure, I always felt passion for her, and she got taken for a ride of conservatorship of complete systematic abuse. Britney Spears was one example of systematic abuse, absolutely, and her parents were at the core of it. And her family was also management companies of talent and things like that were abusing her and using her and took her ride. She was one of the ones that survived, although because of all of the medications that she took and that she was told to take and things like that, a lot of projections on her because she was such a young divine feminine that didn't have a lot of divine feminine role models for her to reflect to in a very powerful and empowering way. In her unfolding of who she was and exploring and expressing and experiencing who she was, she had so many steeped, really abusive constructs that were pitting against her. And the only reason why she survived was, obviously spirit and the people that were in the collective that were helping her pull through. But it was a very discriminatory case. Energetically, when I read her energy, there was things that were basically unfolding for her that the tabloids and media took advantage of and made her appear and appeal as imbalanced mentally and so on. Which again, when you're being systematically abused, what do you expect? So again, she should not give off any level of guilt, shame, or blame, and really start empowering her, because she can also be a great spokesperson for systematic abuse, because she was absolutely systematic abuse. And her parents, I'm calling her parents out. Her parents were absolutely at a core of not lifting her to her highest and supporting her soul level. They were doing what they were doing from a financial level and from a selfish level. And this is where, again, we've been talking on our channel so much about understanding your rights as a human divine being, understanding your universal rights to speak to know your truth, to not be so quick to sign NDAs, to really look your contracts through inside and out. Look at the management companies and what they're doing and what their ethics and their morals are, because we're moving to a higher code of ethics. Any company that is in alignment with the sacred Trinity and the universal laws, that's your new pillars. So we want to make sure that all of the companies start aligning themselves with higher vibrational ethics and codes. What are they now aligning to? That if there is a fire that needs to be put out, how can you put it on the table so that we're all presenting it as a normal experience? As I've been very open and honest with all of you, and I've been very transparent with everything that's been unfolding in my life, as sometimes as uncomfortable as the conversations are and the trigger, they have to be discussed. And there's many times where I show you, which Spirit gave me a little bit of a download after my video last time, that because I was saying, some of those videos get really emotional and stuff, and Spirit's saying that's what your collective needs to see. Your collective needs to see you as a balanced divine leader, and being a divine feminine leader. We need to be able to show the collective from a higher vibrational level of leadership, level of mentorship, that we have to feel all the things that we feel. That it's okay to be angry. It's okay to allow yourself the expression of what needs to be expressed, because it's been 8,000 years of systematic abuse in very horrible, horrible ways. There's many of people in our collective that have transcended, and there's many that can go through a lot more healing. So again, if Britney Spears would ever listen to my video, I would love to provide a healing session for her, because she truly is a very strong and courageous woman. I think that what she went through, I think that what was portrayed in the early stages, it didn't get until the ending of her court case that she was actually seen as a very strong and powerful woman to have survived what she survived with very little support. As I said again, in my exploration of my discrimination cases and the human rights cases, there was nobody that came to my side. The only reason why I survived was Source Creator. I got pulled out by Source. There's many times I left my body because the abuse was horrible, and it was done at many different levels. That's systematic abuse. They target you until there is those outbursts of imbalance. Well, of course, why wouldn't there be? You've just finished attacking me for 500 of your rituals and your death spells, and you're in my car and you're telling, the courts that I'm crazy, and I'm the one that's writing 5 books telling people about the absolute truths that are going on in all of our systems that are needing to be broken. But you have to be able to stand in that David and Goliath experience and say, the authentic version of me is going to stand up, and I'm going to speak, and I'm going to be very authentic. I'm going to be very transparent, and I'm going to say what needs to be fucking said. Because these systems need to come down. The systemic abusers need to face their deeds, because they're going to, because the darkness will end up facing itself. It has to face itself, will show itself to itself. No more snaky, shady, conniving experiences where they're trying to manipulate their way back in. There will be no more trial. There's trial and error on those that have continually abused and abused and abused and abused. There's many people within the collective, and it's just that we're going back and we see again. Another example of that is Jen and Bennifer Affleck, whatever their names are. When they were most recent, when Ben was seen as imbalanced, right? Because of the breakup. I feel energetically there was also magic going on there. And I stated in one of the social posts that the media gets right on the bandwagon because that's a media ploy. And it could have, if you look back into it in the threads, who knows what company it came from, her company or his company, or the media just took the ball and ran with it. But we're being more transparent in our expression to be authentic, our expression to own who we are as our shadow, our expression to own who we are and say, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm doing what I need to do to heal. That's how the promotions and the management companies will be going 5D consciousness. We're not going to hide it with a promotional scheme to say, well, let's see who's hot in the algorithm right now, and let's go place you in those environments to make you look like you're doing okay mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. All of those things. No, we're gonna are in every moment because we're going through a profound planetary adjustment in consciousness, and we need to absolutely own every moment and become more transparent and be more compassionate about our unity consciousness. But in this most recent thing with Ben and Jen, because he's had histories with alcohol and so on, I mean, who hasn't, right? I'm not taking sides for either one. I'm just giving what the energy I felt from this one expression that I saw. And one of the posts and one of the comments were because Ben was feeling imbalanced emotion because of the breakup and all the pressures that goes on, because he has some unhealed aspects that he needs to integrate as far as his introversion. And so that there are certain addictions that he reaches to. Before you reach out, go within. So again, there's healing that needs to be done there for him, as well as Jennifer, if you will. I'm specifically speaking about Ben and how his experience to allow himself to be emotional, however it looks. I'm just giving this to you as the discriminations that we see in our collective for any person that is going through profound challenges in their physical world when the constructs that they were holding to or they held themselves to, and especially men, when they're coming forward in an emotional turmoil, and so he had a few drinks and maybe he had a few outbursts, that emotion is very necessary. And so there was some of the comments that said, he's an emotional mess right now, he's going downhill, he's this and this. They were always projecting that experience when, again, as the energy that I read into it, there was segments of systematic abuse there. And so systematic abuse is of the victim that is meant to be portrayed so that it can financially benefit another person. Now, where that systematic abuse came from, who knows? I'm not saying that I'm not going into that energy. I don't want to go into that energy. But I'm saying that where are the discriminations and where are the ideologies of all of the business world, of all of the promotions company, of all of the arts and entertainment world? The idea of being a creative genius is to allow yourself to be fully emotive, but to absolutely be a master in it. And we cannot be masters if we're being suppressive and depressive and surrendering to some corrupt, low vibrational company that says we've got to put you with this person, we've got to put you with that person, this is how we're going to put this fire, that's how we're going to put that. No, how about we just focus on healing and knowing that wherever you're going through, let's have compassion. Instead of judging and projecting at Ben Affleck for whatever he was going through, absolutely celebrate that, wow, he's getting in touch with some emotions there, because who wouldn't? I mean, it's a profound thing you're going through. And then there's the judge money and all those things, but we want to get back to the core return to healing. How are the discriminations? How are the projections about everybody in our reality when we express divine creative emotions? No, I do express frustration when I've said the same 800 times and there's still the same people targeting me. How could you not be frustrated? How could you not be frustrated when you've said 8,000 times, stop doing sacrifices on me, you're not going to sacrifice me, and you still have to clear all your energy fields because they're doing spell work and magic on you every day, or trying to pierce their way in by doing a sex orgy on you, but you can feel it and see it. How many times do I have to say stop? So again, you have to be the expressive, genuine experience of you for our omnipresence in the substrates to change. So every time that you are in that expression, what we have to be careful for is if there's so much imbalance and there's so much illness and imbalance mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually, then it gets going into the underground, and then that's when it becomes criminal. So those have to come out too, but have to be able to, and this is where I really lift many divine masculines, is open up your channels to create more functionality the emotive experience, the spiritual experience, and what it means for you and your collective. What is your expressions? What are your perspectives? And bringing a higher vibrational consciousness of, wow, we're really here to be a part of the omnipresent source creator. We're meant to be emotive. That's how we manifest, because of our emotions. If it's a wound and we keep going on that karmic pattern, then it's going to be wounding and dark karmic patterns and dark karmic people and dark karmic criminal activities, because that choice of vibration, that's where you're at that time. But when we're lifting the collective to higher states of being, we can see where people have been really, truly systematically abused because others in their camp, if you will, have been very systematically targeting what they can get out of it. And that's, again, narcissism and sociopathy. When they're not healed in who they are and they see that person that does have the true talent, they're seeing a person that has the true talent as their moneymaker. So a lot of these beings that do have a great creative experience and a soul, Brittany does have a great creative soul. She has been altered because of what she went through. And again, she can have a higher vibrational healing, and she can become a higher vibrational spokesperson for what she went through and go through that process of healing. I have great promise for Brittany, for what she went through, and I'm very compassionate for what she went through. But she's going to come through in a higher vibrational experience, and she's going to be a part of the collective healing for the crystalline children that have also been systematically abused. What she had experienced was trafficking. Any part of the selling of a spirit, soul, mind, heart, body, that's trafficking. I expressed many times throughout my case, all of the times that I had been trafficked that I didn't even know about. I wasn't even involved in any of it except having to heal, and having to say, well, if I'm doing manifestation and light work, somebody like me, that I'm spending over 50% of my day in light and manifesting light and sending light to the planet, sending light to the collective, and doing all that I do in light, and yet I don't have anything to rub together except for my abundance with source. There's something going on there. There's systematic abuse there. There's systematic veiling. There's systematic suppression. I mean, we obviously see the imbalance of where our social collective is. There's no voices for divine feminine. There's no divine feminine role models. So it's really, really important that we look at what we see in the collective and how we've seen entertainment start, if you will. We want to see them as those soulful beings of creative offering that each and every one of us are, because the arts and entertainment field will be changed. It's not an industry, it's going to be a creative arts and entertainment field, because it is the field of creativity. And in that, it is a very emotive field that will be equally opportunist with source creator, because we each have different gifts and skills. Then we can really let go of the old suppressive ideologies about what you had to look like to seem like you were balanced, normal, and real, or what you had to present yourself as to put out a fantasy that you weren't into the darker cults. If you're into the darker cults, then say it. Just don't affect other people, because that's a universal law. If you don't want to receive for it, if you don't want to receive negative karma for it, then keep everybody out of your dark occult practices. Practice whatever you want, as long as you're not sacrificing people and or interfering with other destinies, because you don't have a right. And if we look at anything that occurred to Brittany or any of the other entertainers that have been, systematically abused, Tupac was another, there was constraints and restrictions there, obviously, from his environment, from what he came from. And there was much backlash as far as what he was singing and what he was talking about and why he was rapping what he was rapping. Well, in his world, that's what it was. Why doesn't he have a voice? Why is Tupac's music not okay for somebody that was 3D system maker making the systems? Well, that's just a version of his suppression that's making the systems, and he's going to be brought to his karma because he has to also accept that as part of his oneness. So again, the systems all have to be remade because they're so false, they're so fake, they're so low vibrational, it's oligarchic. So Spirit showed me that there's with what I went through and coming forward and speaking of those truths and being creative and passionate about that. And part of my passion that they reminded me too is that because I'm a conduit for the collective, I'm a voice for the crystalline children, I'm a voice for divine feminine. Part of my expressions and being so vibrationally alive and so vibrationally voluptuous, if you will, in my expressions, whether I swear word or whether I say it with great pointedness, is because I'm speaking on behalf of the whole collective. And again, for 10,000 years that we've had human light, if you will, in different tribes, divine's feminine voice has been very erased. So we have to come with new vibrational experiences where we're allowing ourselves to be emotive, but we're being masterful in it. Yes, I get to be angry and frustrated, wouldn't you? If you've been through of attacking and sabotage and you're having to barely make ends meet, wouldn't you be frustrated? It's a normal creative emotion. It's a normal creative part of being human and healing. We have to absolutely see who we are as emotive beings in very beautiful, dynamic parts of our creative art, and not judge it and allow it to be who we are. So all of these companies in the creative arts field, if you will be changing to align to a higher pillar of light, because it's who we are. I should never ever suppress it or judge it. So now that we've gone through that big exploration of Omni, I just wanted to give Brittany a shout out because I didn't watch any of the court cases or anything. I energetically feel what, I read a couple of articles and I energetically felt what had gone on. And I, of course, saw some of the things that she went through when she was, moving through her growth and evolution of who she was. And she really got lambasted with, shaving her head and all of the things that she had went through. And why couldn't that just be a normal exploration? She's a creative being. Why does that have to be judged? Who is any to say what's normal? What's normal are really broken 3D, low vibrational, misogynistic, oligarchic experiences. So why are we measuring her to that? And everybody is so that they've put all of their suppressions and all of their depressions and all of their hiding and sneaking and eating and all of this underground BS is now in the underground because they're not being true to who they are. So the broken people that are judging her are the very broke, the underground. So who are you to judge? And they will be the ones that are on the stand that will be judged because they're the ones that have done the most damage and have done the most, taking and raping and pillaging to suppress the voices that are different and creative. No, I'm going to have my say. I'm going to have my emotional moments where I'm really up and then I'm going to do something a little challenging and I'm going to come on and I'm going to be transparent in it. There's no human being on this planet that doesn't have a moment where they lose it. You cannot go through ascension without self-transgression. You're not going to have those moments where you're really excited to be who you are and joyful in who you are. And now you start coming to this new space of saying, well, I can be this. It's okay to be this. Yeah, and exactly, Scotty, you have those moments you say, I'm okay to have it come to the surface, let it come out. I need to express this. So why is it that there's all these judgment? Because again, like if we're just putting out the social collective because they have an extra veil of what they're perceived through. And if they're going to be a successful star, they have to be perceived through certain things. If we look at whatever judgment is, whether it's the underground darkness, and the beings that are being judged in that darkness, it's still a manifestation of the. We're seeing that all the systems are broken, so all of those shadows have to be seen. How you judge it or not, it's moot. It's still us. It's still the reflection of us. There has been much suppression and deep erasing of any divine feminine in our collective, of what she moves through as a role model and how she allows herself to be exactly who she is. You cannot heal anything without having the full infinity of alchemy. So why would we ever place anybody in a measurement of things just like, what? No. You have to be emotive. You have to own and accept all that you are. You will have those moments of frustration and letting go and disappointment and all of those things. You'll have those emotions. You're not responsible however other people take it, as I say in my chat room all the time. I'm not responsible for your triggers. I'm not responsible for how you're dealing with what I'm saying as a Christ conscious being, saying, no, things are breaking. And if that brings you fear, then that's where you start. Go to that fear. Because I'm not your issue. I'm simply saying what 5D light is. I'm saying is 5D speech. I'm speaking in 5D light. I'm speaking in 5D truth. So celebrate your triggers, then go within and responsibly deal with, so that you're not throwing things against the wall. If you're going to throw something against the wall, make it be a pillow. Be responsible about the allowance of your emotions, right? But some of these people, when they're labeled in their times, like Ben was, if you will, it didn't matter what his expression was. He needed to express it. That was his journey. Each of them, Brittany and Ben and her, we pull from, everybody can benefit from multidimensional healing, ascension healing, because they've been placed in constructs that their inner soul was saying, that's not who I am. Even in the unfolding of Brittany, wasn't the expression of who she was being so suppressed and so boxed in and so controlled. Of course you're going to have those experiences. You're a divine. You have to break those constructs. Who wants to be in those fucking constructs anyways? Is that what your measurement is? That's your compass? Your compass is a management company that says you have to add this, this, and this. Okay, well then you're a clone and you're a little robot walking around in robot land, because that's not who I am. So contracts are going to be written differently so that it aligns with the universal laws, so that it aligns with being universal, so that it aligns with being human. It aligns with saying, no, I'm going to be on a journey. I'm going to absolutely speak the power and the truth of my soul, because it's going to heal the entire collective. The compass and the measurement is not broken systems anymore, or old vibration ideology where you got to hide who you are. We're not going to create any more underground. There's going to be no more creating of the underground. So whatever created the underground, suppression, depression, and discrimination and separation of who you are as a sexual being, we have to talk about who we are and what's going on. The shadow has to be faced. And we will be emotive in it. We're now coming up with healthy emotive experiences where we're talking about educating humanity, where we're educating experiences of business and commerce. And it can be very balanced and honoring and not selling and trading and trafficking. We can have an equal exchange of commerce. If you have a talent, how can we talent contracts in a highest benevolent manner and way so that everybody is respected? Because if you're disrespecting spirit, I will not give you my full compensation of spirit. My spirit is the only spirit that is offered on this planet. My wisdoms are the only wisdoms offered on this planet. Why would I give you anything less? So if you're suppressing me in my contract, I will not meet you in that contract, because source is equal measure. You see what we're saying? So we're coming to a very high vibrational level of consciousness because the omnipresent is asking for it. So we're going to do a card. I'm going to read you my little channel here before I have to go. I've been trying to keep these a bit shorter. I'm going to come into this. How's everybody feeling? We're going to come into our card. Let's just read, because this is a really great read. So you can just sit back and open up your chakras. Get yourself a little drink and just relax. So we talked about the omnipresent, so I gave you a good intro. The omnipresence is within all spaces and all places. The omnipresence is the elegance of the Creator in its most joyful entanglement. Remember, quantum entanglement. So the spaces between spaces, the inhale and the exhale, that's entanglement, and that is Source Creator. Here is the omnipresence of joyful entanglement. Source is created and connected with the ninth dimension, is connected with my ninth dimensional version in me. So since I have access to it, that's how you can channel more readily in that omnipresence, re-engaging yourself at a higher consciousness level about what God is and who are you within omnipresent. I love you, Scotty. What if the omnipresence is the living breath of everything that is the living plan? Remember, the plan is a changing contract of expansion and contraction in every moment. Omnipresence is the breath. Omnipresence never leaves you. God never leaves you. Mother, Father is always nourishing you. It is the equal measure. It is always the hope and the promise. And it requires you that you remain in a centered space of joy and play. So again, we're meeting Source. So if Source is, the Creator is, only joy to create new evolution, only joy to new experience, only joy to create new creational experiences. That's our equal measure. Now in the joy of seeking and being who we are and expressing who we are, there will be those shadows that come up for us to face and integrate, and then we get to equal measure more. The make of the prince and the princess are in and of one the same thing. It is a sultry dance of creation within itself. Again, the mother and the father are never without each other. It is a quantum experience. It is the inhale and the exhale, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the daughter and the brother, the prince and the princess. It is always the equal quantum equation. That's how it's manifested in new realms. And that's why, again, the energy foundation, the liturgies of understanding, the Adam-Eve is being rewritten. The Adam-Eve energies of our balance within ourselves is being rewritten because it's a higher level of consciousness now. The divine feminine is absolutely included. It is a living song. It is every speck within the body and every speck outside of the body. It is to itself the becoming of itself. So again, the micro and the macro, I am that I am, as I perceive, so too it is. Remember the mystical aspects of all planets and how planets are shifting, how the gravitational pull on every planet is different. From one side of the planet, if we talk about Earth, this quantum song, this quantum omnipresence of Earth through a cycle of day and night. There is a dark side of the Earth, it's going in nighttime, but even in the dark side of Earth, there is always the Mother Moon. The Mother Moon is always there to nourish the dark of the night. Even in daytime, the sun nourishes the plant life, so it's a constant nourishment of the inner and the outer, the inhale and the exhale. It's always alchemy. There's always going to be that dark side, and then there's going to be that light side, and it's a constant minutia of balance. The moon holds the night at the night and the sun at the day, and each creating its own synergy of what its role is within creation. Every single aspect of creation has its unique role. I have my unique role. You have your unique role. It's a unique puzzle piece. It's a unique game and song. There is always placement, and the song is always being pulsating and new, because again, as we're becoming new, so is the creational song. And again, the substrates become more rare and pure. There is expansion into itself again and again. The contract of life and plan is always living. We have become so used to being turned off to the elegance of the omnipresent. The omnipresent is always making itself. We are now wanting a higher entrainment. The omnipresence is making itself just in quiet meditation. The omnipresence is always here. Omnipresence is always here. Omnipresence is here and out there. It's always omnipresence. I don't ever have to think that it's turned on and turned off. We're now seeing ourselves in an infinite, every moment expression of the soup that is the highest alchemic potential of the perfection source. Source is perfect in the inhale, perfect in the exhale. Source is perfect in the night, source is perfect in the day. It's perfect as source in the sun, and perfect in the moon. In your being of purely you, so again, remember, your most authentic version of you will meet its equal measure. All your role is to be your equal measure of expression of purely you. Honor yourself and own yourself in whatever you're going through. So if you're owning yourself in that angry, agitated moment, own it. Allow it. Offer it. And do it in a safe way so that, again, you're not harming anybody or, going against universal laws. And those that are in deep wounding, they unfortunately against those universal laws because they are so wounded. They haven't learned how to master themselves in allowing those emotions to be. And because they also have beliefs that believe in violence or think of violence as a normal option. So again, how have we healed the constructs? We should absolutely be a planet that there is no violence or hunger or any of the things that we experience. If we begin from the state of healing and allowing ourselves to be absolutely accepted in every moment, because the nighttime is just as perfect as the day. The sun is just as perfect as the moon. There is that minutia of the Adam and the Eve are now becoming into a greater balance. So this 5 saying that we're having new substrates here, we're seeing the omnipresence as being always valid, offered, always equal measure. We are a constant work of art. So every time you balance your chakras, divine feminine, divine masculine, you're offering a new omnipresent pulsation. Meet you equal measure. The omnipresence never goes away. And how can we use that in creating? How can we use that in the new creative arts field? How can we use that in the healing field? The omnipresence is always. There couldn't be a quantum soup without the omnipresence always being it. There is a new earth peeking its way through every moment. It is when we are most relaxed and when we are most comfortable with the genuine version of who we are expressing ourselves. Be okay expressing yourselves in the moments that you can express yourself. It doesn't matter what that expression is. And when you're becoming more masterful, you're not going to fly off the handle, but you're going to say, wow, that really made me angry. Let's talk about this, right? It's going to be a full expression of anger. Because you still need to express those emotions of being hurt and being traumatized or being beaten up and all those things, whatever those emotions are. So there's going to be healing around that. When you get comfortable and soften into the omnipresence always showing, you can recognize and remember yourself. As we said, as the veils lift up, you're going to remember, boom, wow, source has always been here, source has been everything. And you get to see your celestials, you get to see that earth that was always there, but you had kept yourself hidden from it. You kept yourself veiled from it. There was beliefs and shadows, and as I said, gave that expression of the management companies. No, the management company said I need to behave like this. Well, no wonder you're going through a mental breakdown, because you're in these constructs that don't fit for you. You are a creative soul. You have to live as a creative soul, so our constructs will start to become that creative soul. There isn't always evolution of new creative spirals. As I said at the beginning of my video, there is a new spiral now, and it is evolving and ever becoming. The breath of all that we are is the omnipresence that is source, equal measure. In every breath, the omnipresence, it's always God. God never goes anywhere. God's not going to be, God will of course be in a church, but we're saying that as the constructs, we don't have to go to church to be with God. God is on all things. How could it not be? There couldn't be life if God was not in all things. Source was not in all things. The omnipresent is a quantum equation. It's alchemy. There's always the omnipresence alchemy soup. Your breath is source. That's how we activate the Christ consciousness. Your breath in the inhale is as important as the exhale. It nourishes the body as the mother and the father of the omni that we are. There is the purity at the acceptance of who you are as being a godly design. You are a body, crystalline structure. You are all that you are as a Metatronic version of God. The God itself becoming recognizable to itself. I want to say that. The God recombining itself, reuniting with its, remembering itself, I am godly. I'm remembering I am godly. I'm recognizing I am godly. That sends out new pulsations in the omnipresence, showing you those miracles that aren't so much one-off anymore, but it's just your omnipresence godliness. No, godliness is in all moments. There's miracles in every moment. That's godliness. Again, it's re-entraining your brain to higher creations that you are godly. Omnipresence is godly. We're entraining a higher vibrational thought pattern of enmeshing with the higher mind, enmeshing with the God mind, as I said earlier in my video. When you are in 5D, you're enmeshed with the higher mind, you're enmeshed with the God mind, all is omnipresence. Miracles are every moment. How could it be otherwise? Again, the lower vibrational mind entrainment would say, well, miracles are only those things that, are one-off situations. No, the omnipresent is the miracle awaiting. You are breath and design. We're beginning to have more open elixir conversations about energy and all that quantum God is. A miracle can be in every moment. You are the God breathing miracles. The omnipresent is you seeing itself. God omnipresence recognizing. I recognize I'm the omnipresent. Otherwise, that veil wouldn't have been there for me to see. The veil that showed itself to me today, I'm going to get through all these pages, I hope so. There was, as I was writing this channel, I saw myself on this desert land, kind of, and stuff. And as I looked up, it's like I fell out of a light ship. I wasn't hurt or anything. I wasn't scared or anything. And as I looked up, there was celestials and aliens that were standing around me. And they were looking at me. They were looking at me in wonderment. Like, wow, what is this? Right? Because I was like a human. I was a human little girl, right? And they were looking at me. And I'm thinking, they're looking at me and they're, is this a human? Is this... And they were in their alien bodies. They had different alien bodies. They were short aliens. And I was on the ground and I was like, wait, dream. And I was like, I knew I was human. I didn't have to look at the consciousness of myself knew that I was human. And the veil had been lifted. So what this is preempting, I'm giving this to you as an excitement. This is preempting. And the veil got lifted. The omnipresence was me pulsating how much my alien celestial families have always been with me. They've always been my guiding light. They've always been the love. And when I need that homecoming experience of love and gentleness and acceptance and belonging, they're always there. The opening of the veil for me was because now higher omnipresent substrate, that veil got lifted and I was the vibration of being with my alien families and my celestial families. However, they've gotten what I looked like. They didn't forget because my vibration brought me there because co-creation, right? But they were looking at me in wonderment like, wow, a human. So what if, I'm just saying this, what if first contact wasn't about a 5D Earth, but what if it was being placed in a 5D planet? Because remember what I said last week, I'm going to be moved to wherever I'm going to be celebrated, appreciated, right? Because I've got a lot to give, right? I serve the multiverse. So what if I was just plopped in a place where the vibrations and the nourishments were equal for me, and everybody was in equal give and take, and my tribe, my celestial tribes were there, but they were in the celestial alien forms, which allowed me to be ever more accepted for belonging, because here I felt like that alien. Do you see what I'm saying? That was kind of fun. So the veil was being lifted. So I was like, wow, that was cool experience. So then I came up with this channel. Creation is always an alchemic movement. It's always the planets, and whatever it is that you focus on, your direction and your intention is what's going to be in your omnipresent, because God will always meet you equal measure. That is the manifestation of God. You are God manifesting God. And when you soften just long enough to be the genuine alignment of you, through peace, through health, and through honor and respect for all life, your journey will always be pure bliss, and you will always just see and accept whatever needs to come forward. Remembrance of the pure and new knowing of who you are as a new thyself. Who are you? Who is thyself? Who am I? And why had it only been in certain things that were different? In what ideologies did you hold yourself and shown? Can the omnipresent just always be perfect breath? Can omnipresence always the perfect canvas? Can the omnipresence always be your nourishment? Can always be your now moment through which any veil can be lifted? Remember, God is not something we went to a church for. It is the omnipresent. It is the alchemic equation. It is the elixir. It is the bread. It is the juice. It never leaves us. It's between all spaces. It's between all places. The omnipresence is the elixir, quantum math, and the creative alignment to what you are pulsing. Our only role is to be as genuine and authentic so that that pulsation can meet it in that omnipresent equal equation. This is instant manifestation, and how we can, I have to go, so I won't be able to read the rest of this. I'll do another video perhaps tomorrow to do the rest of it, but that's just mind-boggling with this omnipresent download that I got. And then we'll pull a card. The manifestation a couple of times. What if Ascension was simply the moment that you fall in love with your most raw, authentic version, and knowing that the omnipresent, the all-seeing God is to us at this moment, right? Because when we say God, we see a man with a big eye, right? Whatever God is to you. But what if? Veil got lifted. That godly moment miracle for me was being on a planet, and the celestials were standing around me, and they were looking at me and quite pondering. They're like, "Wow," and their little, alien hands. They were looking at me, and they're very gentle and curious, and they were pondering, and they're very excited. Like, wow. And I was the topic of. But what if that in a moment was the intro to first contact and ascension? Obviously, it means much more, right? I'm just gonna get my thing cleaned up. And so the card we got today was evolution. Oh my God. The card I got today was evolution. Little thing. Evolution. Hey! They're new phases, new lifetimes, new healings, new alchemy. What are you dreaming of? What are your tools of mastery? What is the new reflections and omnipresence is all that is. Omnipresence is the liquid breath, is the liquid light of source. It's all things. So when you have those miraculous moments where you soften just enough and you drop in your heart of authentic version of who you are just enough, that's when the miracle is. Because you've trusted yourself, unconditional trust, to support and surrender yourself within source. That's when the miracle is. The miracle is when you unconditionally surrender to source, and then it shows itself to you because it is the equal measure. Isn't that amazing? So the Ascension session, please book it. I'm going to probably do another video tomorrow, finish off the other 2 pages, because that's where we go into unconditional trust. We love you so very much. Ponder and wonder lovingly, softly about omnipresence. God is always source, mother, father, always with you. The prince and the princess, the son and the daughter, always one. We love you so very much. We love you, we love you, we love you. Any donations would be grateful. I love you, my soul tribe, and we will see you soon.